Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
One of our sophomore players comes in at number 60, Ronnie Bell, wide receiver, punt returner. People are all over the place with Ronnie Bell. Last year, the preseason, he was hot and cold. All these huge catches, touchdowns, but also drop passes for interceptions. The punt return, steps in whenever Ray got hurt, and, bobbled kicks, all that stuff. Filled in for Ayuk in the one game he missed, did really, really good. But whenever you look back on the year, it seemed like it was just in a constant decline from preseason, training camp, and kind of that first month of the season. I don't think that he really improved too much, and I hate how it ended. The last week of the season against the Rams, whenever everybody rested their starters, probably had one of the worst games of anybody for either team that game. And the culmination, the end of it, was the Zoom close-up on Kyle Shanahan's face saying, "What are you doing?" After he messed up a 3rd and long play, and you see Sam Darnold, visibly frustrated with his rookie wide receiver, Ronnie Bell. And that's kind of the last we saw of him. And so you don't like to end on those bad notes, but there was a lot of positive with what Ronnie Bell did. Filled in admirably well as a punt returner, as, the backup to Ayuk. So there are positives, but when the 49ers go out and spend not one, but 2 draft picks on wide receivers and keep all the other wide receivers, is that an indictment on Ronnie Bell, or are they just looking to bolster depth without Ronnie Bell? Well, let's dive into some of that. Now, he comes in number 60 for us. His highest rank out of our 4 ballots, 1 through 91, was 54. His lowest was 63. Last year, as a rookie on our 2023 countdown, he came in number 50. So he's dropped 10 spots. How much of that is Ronnie Bell? I'd say about half. And how much is just the team around him, the depth chart around him, the additions around him? I'd say that's the other half. He wears jersey number 10, and got to give credit to my man Josh. He is the executive producer for today's episode. Let's look at the metrics, okay? Who is Ronnie Bell? 6 foot 190. All right, not big, not big at all. Weight-wise, height-wise, 31-inch arms, super short, 24 years old, ran a 4.5, 340. So, yeah, that's good. No problem with the speed there. 6.93 cone, got a little shifty to him. 10-foot broad jump, good. 14 bench press reps, no problem. You put in his measurements into mock draftable. Here's the guys you get: Raheem Jarrett, Antonio Bryant, Mark Clayton, going back to the old schools, and Freddie Mitchell. Not a lot of these guys were hyper productive. Yeah, Mark Clayton sure as heck was. But it's a type of wide receiver build and skill set that is a little bit more rare in today's NFL. It's almost like they're all built like small running backs back in the 80s. These were all 3rd down scat backs back in the 80s and 90s, but now that's not really a thing. So you move them to wide receiver. You get the ball in their hand. You see what they could do. And that's kind of what Ronnie Bell is. Now, he went to Park Hill High School in Missouri, eventually graduated from Michigan with an English degree, but he had to bounce around, and he had to kind of fight for that because it's kind of interesting. Obviously the 49ers drafted a lot of Michigan guys, Ambry Thomas, Moody, and him, all, back-to-back years basically. So they got a lot of Michigan guys. And what he was able to do at Michigan was huge. Michigan's Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2018 was great. He was the Offensive Skill Player of the Year in 2019, 2-time All Big Ten honoree, voted team captain by his teammates in 2021. Awesome. And you go back to his high school, Ronnie Bell was great there too. Top 3 in the state of Missouri, in Missouri history in receptions and receiving yards. The only 2 guys that have more than him is Dorial Green Beckham. Some of you guys got to remember that name. And Jeremy Maclin. Then it's Bell. That's just what it was. Now, he was a 5-year letterman at Michigan, which is incredible. But he was a big-time basketball player, 3-year starter at basketball who originally signed his letter of intent with Missouri State to play basketball. That's what he thought he was going to be. Harbaugh gets tipped off from a basketball coach saying, hey, man, you might want to look at this kid, goes and checks him out, offers him on the spot, comes in, and the rest is history. Now, when we look at the draft, the 49ers took him 2 picks before Jalen Graham, right? I mean, they drafted him. He was the 32nd wide receiver drafted. And he went super late, obviously 7th round pick, all those things. But right after they drafted him, John Lynch, the post-draft press conference, here's what John Lynch had to say about why they liked Ronnie Bell.
I think not the biggest package, but a real tough, physical, gritty player with the ball in his hands. Made a lot of big plays in big moments. The return ability is a big thing. We had Ray, and behind Ray, we didn't really have, BA's done it before, but we wanted another returner. But really, he made it just on those traits. He's a guy that the more we watched, the more we liked, and did it at the right times too. So Ronnie was a great addition.
I don't disagree with a lot of their sentiments. I was a little higher on Ronnie Bell in my draft work that we did. I had a 5th round grade. He went 7th. I had him as the 26th wide receiver. They took him number 31, right? 32nd wide receiver drafted. So close. I might have had a little higher grade on them. But here was my pre-draft write-up before I knew the 49ers drafted Ronnie Bell. Strong route runner, toughness, first down machine. That 100% has lived up. He only had 6 catches his rookie year, which is crazy. Seems like more than that. 5 out of those 6 catches went for touchdowns or first downs. So that was there. Run after catch upside. Again, that kind of hyper running back, scat back, wide receiver guy. That's what he is. Great football IQ. Return specialist, jet sweeps. Good ball skills. Issues versus press coverage. That seemed to be an issue as well. Could not separate last year. Modest production. A lot of that's being on Michigan. They run the ball more than almost anybody. Release package needs work. Still does. Struggles with contested catches. Still does. I put plays like old school New England Patriots wide receivers. It's very typical in, draft circles. You get a white wide receiver. Yeah, guess what? You're Danny Amendola. You're Julian Edelman, whatever else. For Ronnie Bell, that's what I saw. He did most of his damage, 15 yards and in. That's Jarvis Landry, old school Patriots wide receivers, the slot guys. That's what I saw. Because the tall end of the workout metrics, I never saw a separator true X wide receiver, and that's what they played him at last year. And I don't think it was really his fault. When Danny Gray got hurt, Ronnie Bell had to step up, change positions. Then, Ronnie Bell moved to the primary IU backup when Danny Gray got hurt in the preseason. They didn't have anybody else there. And dude did his job. He did his job. But I don't think that's where he should be. He's not a separator. He's not an X wide receiver. Speed-wise, body-wise, route-wise, contested catch-wise. He's just not supposed to play that. I just don't think that he is. I think he's supposed to be a backup slot wide receiver, right? You talk about Elliot Edelman and, Jarvis Landry. That's what I think he should be. So I hope they move him to that spot. And, now he knows X, but I want Pearsall X. If I could do, I'm jumping forward here, but that's okay. If I could do my depth chart of wide receivers where I think everybody fits the best, you got the X role with Ayuk. His backup should be Jacob Cowing. You've got the Z role with Debo. His backup should be his backup should be Ricky Pearsall. And then you got the slot, Juwan Jennings. His backup should be Ronnie Bell. That's kind of how I see it. Now I know other people are going to disagree, and Kyle Shanahan might be one of those that disagrees with me because they see, Pearsall could play everything. I think that he can. I just think the easiest path and the best path for him is that Debo role personally. And the 49ers don't usually, with rookies, work multiple wide receiver spots if they don't have to. So we'll kind of see where he lines up and where he plays. But his IQ is huge. He's got 1 year on the team, so they could put him in a couple different spots. So I'm curious to see where Ronnie Bell's going to play. Now, we look at just what he did last year. PFF scores, okay? 61.1 overall, not great. 62.5 receiving, not great. 62.8 special teams, not great. 60.5 punt returner, not great. 54.9 kickoff and kickoff return, not great. That's kind of the issue. And he just kept getting phased out to the point that they were going with Chris Conley, Willie Snead, these type of wide receivers over the young buck. And again, I almost pulled the clip where Shanahan's yelling at him. I didn't want that on here. But if you just type in Ronnie Bell, Kyle Shanahan, it comes up. And it's just, 3rd and long against the Rams. He's getting opportunity in that Ayuk role. And, man, it was terrible. It was terrible all game. With no effect whatsoever. Hey, you piss off Sam Darnold and Kyle Shanahan at the same time, you're doing something wrong. Now, punt returner. All right, let's talk about this. Had a lot of Kyle Williams type vibes. There's no doubt about that as a punt returner. Now, here's what's crazy. He only returned 10 punts all year. He fumbled once, and that was it. He fumbled once, but he had a whole lot of bobbled catches, muffed, whatever, second catches. He fumbled the ball out of bounds one time. He caught the ball off his chest and went out of bounds. He lost the ball once, so that's not good out of 10. Average 7 yards per return, that's not great. It just, I don't know. If you wanted to, and, we do the John and Wayne show, and obviously Wayne loves him because he's a Michigan guy, but there is a lot to like in Ronnie Bell. There is. It makes sense. But it's one of those players where I could spin this either way. I've tried not to. I'm trying to present both sides. I mean, the guy had 6 catches, 3 touchdowns. Half of his receptions were touchdowns. Ronnie Bell had more touchdowns than Kyle Juszczyk and Juwan Jennings last year, right? So maybe he just needs the opportunity. I'm not quite sure that's the thing. Now, the one thing that I do have to add, and probably my favorite thing about Ronnie Bell, that dude blocks with the highest effort ever. And so you didn't see that in college. And that was like a big thing. He wasn't really high on my 49ers fit because he just didn't block. He was, in fact, a terrible blocker in the run game. He got the memo. And whenever he showed up in the training camp and preseason and whenever he got snaps in the regular season, that dude blocked all out. In fact, he got penalties because he was blocking all out one time. So, I don't know. You look at the offensive stats, 6 catches for 68 yards. Yeah, not bad. 11.3 yards per catch, not bad. 3 touchdowns. That's great. 111 special team snaps. Okay, not bad. But I don't know. Is there more meat on the bone? Can he improve? I think he can. Is he going to become an elite separator? I don't think that's in the cards. So where the Niners play him, I think is going to kind of help determine if he's going to be around or not. He's on the bubble, especially with keeping every wide receiver he had last year and drafted a 1st rounder and a 4th rounder. You go behind the 4th rounder. Jacob Cowing is making this roster. And guess what? I told you, Jacob Cowing's best spot is X. What did Ronnie Bell play last year? X. So you either got to move spots or you're going to get bumped down even lower in the pecking order. And a big reason why Ronnie Bell made this roster last year was Danny Gray got hurt. Well, guess what? Danny Gray's back. And there were injuries, at the returner spot. Well, guess what? You got a bunch of returners. Brought back Trent Williams. Danny Gray's back, right? You go get your kickoff returns. If Cowan can do both. I don't know. I just feel like this roster, the 2024 49ers, is going to be more difficult for Ronnie Bell to make the 53 than it was last year. He's not through anything that he has done. The competition's tougher. You had a 1st-round wide receiver and a 4th-round wide receiver. You're a 7th-round wide receiver. The numbers are there. Those guys are going to get their chances. Now, he's on his rookie deal, 4-year, $3.9 million. Last year, he made $827,000, so he's already paid out some of that. Hope he makes every single penny, and I hope that he takes this huge sophomore jump that some wide receivers do. Now, we look at the depth chart. 49ers usually keep 5 to 6 wide receivers. There's a lot of locks. Ayuk, Debo, Jennings, Pearsall, Cowing. That's 5 locks. They might not even keep another wide receiver. Now, I do have Ronnie Bell in the number 2. There's 2 tiers of backups. There's locks, there's backups, and then there's young practice squad players, okay? The backups are Danny Gray, Ronnie Bell, Chris Conley. Those are guys that I think can make this roster. Who's going to make the roster? I don't know. Chris Conley is the best wide receiver of the group, no doubt about it. Danny Gray has the highest ceiling of the group. Can he stay healthy? Ronnie Bell is kind of your jack-of-all-trades guy. I don't know. I don't know who's going to win that competition. You got to stay healthy. You got to impress. Then behind them is your young practice squad or cut guys. Trent Taylor, I put in that group. Tay Martin and T.O.'s son, Tariq Owens. There's a lot of wide receivers on this team. A lot. 5 or 6 are making it. Ronnie Bell's got a shot. If I was a betting man, I'd say 33%. I'd say 33% Ronnie Bell, 33% Danny Gray, 33% Chris Conley. I cannot differentiate between those guys. If you're going from a wide receiver, it's Chris Conley. If you're going for upside, it's Danny Gray. If you're going for somebody that we know what we're getting, best blocker, maybe Chris Conley might be the best blocker, but I don't know. Shanahan likes Ronnie Bell. Oh, it's going to be fun. I really hope we see a jump. That's what I want. I want to see him separate himself, one on the depth chart, but also on the field. I want to see what he could do and be much more sure-handed as a punt returner because that spot's still out there. And if there's any struggles at punt returner, man, Trent Taylor might, be a practice squad player they elevate because he's sure-handed. Ronnie Bell's not there. Maybe he could show that. And again, a lot of that's not his fault. I am categorically against rookie punt returners. I don't give a damn how good you are. I don't kick returner, cool. Punt returner, no. And when Ronnie Bell got put in that spot last year, that was a no-win position. You just don't do that in the NFL. So hopefully he could get over those yips a little bit and be a sure-handed guy because there's a chance he could be the starting punt returner week 1. I wouldn't be upset with that. It's just, can he prove, man, we're past the bobbles, we're past the muffs. You're going to be a sure-handed guy. You don't have the ceiling to overcome turnovers. You just don't. Danny Gray might because he's the fastest dude on the team probably. But Ronnie Bell, you're not. We'll see what he does. Ronnie, surprises this year, man. A lot of people got upset last year, but he got asked to do a lot of things he wasn't ready to do. And hopefully this year he will be. And for us, we'll just keep counting him down.